Hello everybody, welcome back to the Agostinho Zinga Show, episode number 183 with me, your host, Agostinho Zinga. How you doing? How you feeling? People, hope you guys are well, rested, hydrated, limbered, stretched, lubricated. Your mobility is where it should be, and you're just feeling on the top of the world this sunny Wednesday morning. I'm coming at you live and direct from East London, somewhere in the depths of East London. It could be next to Stratford Olympic Park. It could be next to Homerton Hospital. You have no idea because I'm not going to tell you, and because I have the safety of my family and those around me in mind. But apart from that, hope you guys are good. Hope you guys are well wherever you are. Wednesday morning, we're fast approaching the end of April. Man, hasn't this year gone by so quickly, no? The year has gone by so quickly. 1 minute it was New Year's Eve. Next minute it was Valentine's Day. After that it was, I don't know, sometime in March. That takes too long to fucking finish, right? March, get rid of that month. Who needs that? March, away you go. Then suddenly it's fucking Easter, right? And we got a Good Friday and then a Good Monday. It's like, wow, Good Friday, Easter Monday. Could you just call it Good Friday, Good Monday? That would be quite bad, isn't it, maybe? Maybe you could call a club that. Good Friday, Good Monday. Anyway, that'll be a club that's only open between Friday and Monday. 24-hour license, right? But I'm sure somebody in London or in Hackney Council will end up fucking cancelling that place and closing it down, as they do most things, them motherfuckers. Anyway, here I am, talking to you guys live and direct. I'm feeling good, feeling fresh. As you can tell, I've got a bit of a little bit of a hot sweat on me at the moment. Not because it's warm or because I'm wearing this massive fucking flannel. It's because for the most part, I just came back from a run. I jumped into a really hot shower. Then I had a really cold shower at the end to kind of finish off. And then I jumped right out. Then I had some eggs. And then I put the shirt on. So I'm kind of, I went up and down the little temperature gauge. You know what I mean? I haven't got like a stable temperature. Hence why I've got this weird kind of like little bit of sweat beads coming off the top of my head. So don't think anything else is going on. I'm just a little bit, a little bit warm here, but it's all good. I just got back as well. I did a little half an hour run today. I didn't do my usual 3 mile run. I did like a little half an hour run today. I ended up clocking in about 3.5 miles, which isn't really that good. Considering what I've done in the past. I need to kind of make sure that I'm running a little bit more quickly and trying to up my pace, up my cadence and stuff. I think in the past when I was at my peak, I could squeeze in, I think, just underneath 4 miles in that half an hour, which is fucking good. Which means that I'm running the last 2 miles at least at about 6 minute, at least just under a 6 minute pace, right? Because if I can get to running a 5K in 24 minutes, that means I've got 6 minutes to get that last mile in, to get the 4 miles in the half an hour, which is really good. So it's a really good workout. But today I managed to get about 3.5 miles in, and by the end of it, I was hanging quite a bit. So I guess my overall endurance has improved from what it was in maybe the beginning of the year, but it still isn't where I need to be. That being said, I've got this little idea in my head, right? I'm not sure if it's a good idea, but I'm about 3 and a bit weeks away, or I'm thinking about just under 4 weeks away until the Hackney Half Marathon starts, right? And the Hackney Half Marathon, if you're not familiar with it, is one of the premier half marathons in London as of, I don't know, only like a few years ago. I think I ran the first ever Hackney Marathon when it first started. Then I think I've missed out on, then I ran the first ever one. Then I missed out on the second one. Then I ran the third one. Then I missed out on the last 2. So I've missed out on 3 of the last 5, I think, right? So I've done quite a bit of them. So this Hackney Half Marathon is usually the premier half marathon everyone does. The kind of half marathon they do in Berlin. The Berlin Half Marathon is very popular. So there's one in Copenhagen, I think. There's a few that a lot of the scene people, a lot of the running hipsters kind of go to for the most part. The kind of dudes, isn't it? The kind of guys and girls who have tattoos on their legs and arms, and they're usually used in Nike commercials because they look good on camera. Those kind of people usually run those kind of things because it's kind of split up. It's not a bad thing to say. I'm not throwing any shade, but there's a group of people that go to run races that are specifically aimed at people who run loads of races, right? The ones that kind of go and do like, marathons in the middle of Italy somewhere. There's places in France that they do them too. There's a couple I've seen in Belgium, I'm pretty sure. There's ones that I do in Birmingham that are really popular. Ones in Chippenham just outside of Birmingham. So there's a few that are dotted around the place, right? And these are like the premier ones that loads of the kind of elite, the kind of people that want to be, the kind of the weekend cyclists, people that walk around or that ride around their bikes with those lycras on head to toe, pretending like they're in the Tour de France. they're like really enthusiastic about riding bicycles, aren't they? So there's a group of people like that in the running community too, who are really about the whole running lifestyle thing. They don't really wear that much gear. They haven't got 1,000,001 gadgets all over their bodies. They just usually have, you know, the running club. They're usually part of a running club as well. Those things that I'm not. I just don't give a fuck about that kind of stuff. Organized fun. You can just jump off a cliff. No, thank you very much. But there's kind of people that are part of running clubs. So they usually just have like a little singlet on, some shorts and running shoes. That's about it. They don't really do anything. They sometimes they don't even wear headphones. They're that kind of militant when they're running, which is fucking, you know, I can't imagine doing that personally. But for the hipster runnings, for the hipsters out there who like to run, stuff like the Hackney Half Marathon is a good place to go to, because it's a great place to kind of, you know, meet up with some of your friends from the scene, spud, hang out, shake hands, and do your thing. But it's also one of the most difficult courses that I've ever had to run. It's incredibly flat. It's incredibly open. Oh, sorry, my back, my neck. Oh, where's coffee? Anyway, it's incredibly flat, incredibly open. There's no real skyscrapers or tall buildings kind of covering where you're running. So for the most part, especially when it's in the last few years, we've had pretty good summers, and as evident as you can see the sun beaming through my window here, this year is going to be no different. If it's really warm around the time that the event's on, which is usually in the middle of, towards the end of May, then without the tall buildings, with it being just with the Hackney Half Marathon taking part in the new development areas around Trafford Olympic Park, which have been newly tarmacked and all that malarkey. The sun beating out on that tarmac, it kind of rising up again and heating up the entire roads. Massive amount of people sweating and, you know, heat bouncing off each other. It turns into an absolute sauna, like a running version of a sauna, right? It's just absolutely incredibly hot. You end up dripping loads of sweat. You end up losing a bunch of weight, more so weight than the other girls mentioned yesterday. So it's a very challenging course, right? And then I think towards the end, there's a few hills, and you're passing the motorway up into Olympic Park. It gets a bit hilly. It's just a really brutal course in that regard, right? Flat, no tall buildings to cover you from the sun beaming down on you. The first couple of years I did it, there were limited water stations, so people were fainting all over the place, right? They were literally dropping all over. So probably the first time I've seen people just like dropping through heat stroke, and probably just through pure fatigue as well, because it just really saps out the energy of you having to run in that kind of sun. And then obviously over the years, the Hackney Half Marathon, but the Vitality Sport people, right? Yeah, Vitality Sport people sort of like refined the course, set up more water stations. They had those massive kind of jet streams, or those big massive poles that have like water that spray out, so you can run in it, like sort of like a something that you see in a car wash. And the other time it sort of improved, but essentially it's the one place I've been to where my half marathon time hasn't improved, right? I think the first time I ran it, I must have did like, I don't know, just under 2 hours. The second time I did 2 hours and 2 minutes. And my best time, of course, has come from the Barcelona Half Marathon, which I ran that in 1 hour and 45 minutes. But that again was a very advantageous course, right? It's loads of hills, upwards and downwards. It's extremely flat, loads of tall buildings. If you've been to Barcelona, you'd know that, you know, there's massive buildings, flats that people live in, so you don't really get beaten down by the sun until you can't basically run across. The only time I remember you getting really hit by the sun is when you're in that main city centre bit with the pavilion. It's like a massive, it's a massive like ornament in the middle where you kind of have to run around it like a roundabout. That's where you get really beat up by the sun, because it's quite flat and open. And then sometimes when you have to run by the coast in Barcelona, you kind of, where the beach is, sorry, you get hit by the sun. But for the most part, it's one of the most fastest races I've had to run in a long time. Maybe second to only the Chippenham Half Marathon, which again is extremely flat, not as open or as flat as the Hackney Half Marathon, and has a lot of downward hills that you can kind of, you know, pick up pace with. But I'm thinking that I should try and do the unthinkable and try and register myself and try and see if I can run a quick half marathon at the Hackney Half Marathon on the 19th of May. As I'm talking to you now, it's now the 24th of April. I'll have just under 1, 2, 3, 4. I'd have 4 months, basically just under 4 months, just under 4 weeks, sorry, to train for it and to see what my time would be. Unfortunately, I think I've got it up here on the screen, right, for you guys to see. Unfortunately, I won't be able to buy a ticket for it because it's already sold out, which I'm not really sure if that's true. Sometimes when they say it's sold out, I'm not sure if they just do it just to kind of like drum up interest, but it's essentially sold out. I have to run at the only way I can run with it is to do it by a charity, but obviously I'm not going to do that because I don't want to be on social media begging people for money and stuff. I don't really care that much. This is the course, as you can see here. It's a fairly unforgiving course. You normally start at Hackney Marshes, which is kind of the big park here in London where people play their Sunday league football. Then you head over up into Homerton Hospital. Then you head up to Clapton, go back around Dalston, back again to Hackney Downs, or around to Hackney Central, back again through Dalston Junction, back down, up again through Dalston, kind of towards Shoreditch, but not really, over the water, back again around, all the way through Victoria Park. And then, where is that are we now? We're in Victoria Park Road. You pass Victoria Park again, over the water, back around again. White Post Lane, where the White Post Cafe is, which I go and party sometimes. Waterden Road. And then this way, and then the kind of the last mile or so is kind of the brutal bit, because this is where there's a massive kind of speed bumps next to kind of the where all the football state, the little football cages in Mabley Green, which I think is just in front of some of the flats as well. And then you kind of turn back around and head back into Hackney Marshes. So it's a very, very, very brutal course. I have to be honest. I think this is the main bit that gets really burning hot, where you kind of go past Hackney Wick and stuff, like because it's mostly an industrial park or where the kind of the buses and trains kind of stop. So it's not really the best place for you to go and run a race, but you know, c'est la vie. So I'm not going to do the running charity thing. I have to get a ticket through you know, someone reselling it on the events website, which I've seen a couple of people who have posted up the fact that, you know, they're injured and they won't be able to run the race. I'll just kind of email somebody from there and get a ticket for them. So I won't be able to, but the only problem with that is that you won't be able to run underneath your own name. I have to run under the name of whoever the guy or lady is that I'm buying a ticket from. So it won't be an official race time, which is unfortunate. But I just want to do it for myself. So I feel I'm going to do it. I feel I'm going to try and push myself for the next 4 weeks. Try and abstain from all the alcohol, abstain from all the drugs, abstain from all the going out, and just go and train every single day until I can go and run quite a good half marathon time. Now, because I've only got 4 weeks left and I haven't really been training specifically for a half marathon, I've been doing mostly 5K running sort of timings, whatever it may be. Even though I think if I look at my Nike Run app now, I think for the most part I've been running quite regularly. I think for the best part of the whole year, I think, innit? Really, I don't think there's a month where I haven't run. I did 17 runs in April, 19 runs in March, 16 in February, 8 in January. Yeah, so I've basically been running all month. But I really need to up it this month and kind of really go for the distance and stop going for the kind of the repeats that I've been doing a few times. So I think the plan is I'm gonna probably try and get in a half marathon practice run in for, let's say, the week before the race. Let's say the 12th, right? I'm probably gonna do one then. Just do a half marathon run and just see how quickly or slowly I can do that in. So I can know I got the mileage in. But then in the next few weeks, just fucking up the mileage. Again, it might be a stupid idea, but I think I need to lay myself a bit of a mark, give myself a target to go for. And then hopefully that'll be something that'll keep me in a straight and narrow between now and the end of the year. Because I don't know. I think I got the feeling like I wasted time this year. I wasted 4 months just hanging around. Yeah, I think I wasted time just hanging around. Yeah, I think I wasted time hanging around. It's 4 weeks. Sorry, 4 months already of the year have gone by. I'm very conscious about time just floating by. And again, by the end of when I finish the Hackney Half Marathon, it'll be 19th of May. That'll be already 5 months out of the year. So I'm very conscious of like, okay, cool. I've wasted 4 months. Let me not waste another month. Let me just get back on the saddle and kind of go for it. So I'm gonna set myself this weird target. It's a bit of a stretch goal. It's going to be very difficult. I'm going to be in pain a lot. I'm pretty sure of it. But the plan is to go and run a Hackney Half Marathon. But the most important plan also is to get new running shoes. So I have to get those new running shoes pretty quickly. So I think as soon as I get paid at the end of the month, I'm going to go and buy some new running shoes and start training with them regularly. So I already have the mileage in them. I don't want to go and turn up to a race running in new running shoes because that's going to be, a complete nightmare. So I'm going to try my best to get those running shoes sorted out prior to the date of me running. And then hopefully that should help with me going forward. But yeah, this is what I'm planning to do. So again, if you guys are out there and you are going to run the Hackney Half Marathon, let me know. What training are you doing? What plan are you following? I think I'm just going to basically follow the plan that I've been doing in the Power Speed Endurance, but basically condense the plan and kind of like chuck out some in-between bits that I don't have time to do at now at the moment, and just try and pile in as much work as I can for the time being, and then hopefully that'll give me enough of a base to kind of go for the run. Because I know I can run the race slowly. I can probably just jog it ambly around and probably end up in 2 hours 30 minutes, right? I know I could probably do that, but I have too much. I have too much of a competitive spirit to go around Hackney Half Marathon run, essentially past some of my colleagues in the scene and some people that I know and not run it quickly. I have to run it at a fast pace. So that's probably what I'm going to do this time by the end of the month. So let's see how it goes, man. Again, so if you're running it, let me know in the comments. Let me know what you're going to do, what training plan you're doing. How far forward are you? And if you know anyone that's got a ticket, that's gonna that even, you know what would be better. Even if somebody doesn't want to go and they're just sick and they just want to give me the ticket, that'll be even better. Because sometimes, you know, these people that buy tickets and I got an injury. It's like, come on, man. Do you really have an injury, or you just don't want to do it anymore? If you don't want to do it anymore, just give someone else a ticket so they can go and run the race, innit? But anyway, that's a story for another day. But that's my plan going forward. It might work, it might not, but let's see, innit? It's all about trying with these kind of things, innit? You got to give it a go. What is next on the list here? What else I want to talk about? Oh, Game of Thrones star Sophie Turner. So, normally I wouldn't talk about this sort of stuff because, again, I don't think I have that much experience with depression. Although I don't have that much experience with depression. I don't think I do in general because I tend to keep my counsel with stuff. I tend to keep my eye on the prize. I tend to not look at others and what they have and try and beat myself up with it. I might compare myself sometimes. I might be like, oh shit, man, I need to really step my levels up. I need to really go for it. Look at this person. We're the same age. We have the same experience. I need to start going for it. But I never get down in dumps about it. So I think the only time that I maybe suffered from any kind of depression or any kind of depressive thoughts was when I was living at home and I had that, you know, monumental kind of spat of maybe like a 2-year window or 2-year run where I was just arguing every single day with my parents. But that was mostly my fault as well because I didn't really make the leap to kind of leave. I was kind of blaming my parents for keeping me hostage at home when really, you know, I was working that whole time. I was working full time. I was doing whatever I wanted to do. So I could have eventually just saved up enough money for 6 months, just left. But I didn't really do it. And then eventually when I did end up leaving was because I ended up leaving when I moved in with a brunette. So it was kind of like somebody else gave me an excuse to leave. So I can't really blame my parents too much. But that was maybe the most depressive time I had. But again, there's loads of extenuating circumstances. I went to university in London. I stayed at home, living under very conservative parents who were very, you know, they didn't really know how to handle the fact that they were, you know, had a really young man at home who was kind of growing into a young adult who kind of went their own independence. I didn't know how to handle them. We had a bit of conflict there. Then you have that conflict of like, you know, a crisis of confidence of, oh, what I'm going to do in my career and stuff, because, you know, you don't want to end up working on the shop floor for the rest of your life. So those kind of things were maybe kind of led me to think of depressive thoughts, but I never had a period. I never had what I've heard actual depressed people have, right? Where you just wake up one day and you're just bummed out, right? The only time that's probably happened to me is when maybe, I don't know, you've taken, I don't know, MDMA or a pill or something, you're woken up the next day and you've had that horrible calm down that happens when you take ecstasy, right? And you go to a festival. But again, that is a one-off thing. And usually at the moment you kind of stop taking that sort of stuff, and I haven't taken ecstasy in maybe, I don't know, years, you start to realize, oh, okay, it's good. It's got its moments, it's got its ups, but the downs are a bit too brutal for you to keep going on with. So that's the only thing I might have suffered from. So again, I don't really have that much experience of it, but I think in recent years, especially with my decision to not be on social media as much as I was previously, because if anyone that knows me prior would know that I was the one that was always trying to document my life, everything that I did via social media. I think that came via, do you remember during the beginning of Instagram when you used to use your Instagram as like a Finstagram? You know, nowadays people have Finstagrams where they have never profile that they upload anything that they usually do, like any bullshit. But they have a main Instagram where it's kind of more curated. It might be outfits, it might be what they eat, it might be where they're traveling to. But the Instagram is just everything and anything, right? It's you waking up in the morning, it's your alarm clock, it's the overpacked train in the morning, it's you reading something in the paper, or maybe a book quote. It's loads of just haphazard uploads that you don't really give a shit about. And I remember in the beginning of Instagram, that's what used to happen, right? I used to use my Instagram the same way I used to use mobile uploads on Facebook. I used to upload everything on Facebook, like mobile uploads. I think I still got maybe a hard drive full of like 20 gigabytes worth of fucking pictures I used to take on my phone all the time. That I probably end up putting into a zine sometime very soon. But then over time, I stepped back a bit from it because I found myself living vicariously through other people that were doing the things that I wanted to do without actually doing my things. So I think sometimes Instagram can be good because it makes you get inspired. You can sometimes it's a really good barometer to see exactly how far or near you are to your dreams, or how hard you are working or not working. But again, it is a bit skewed because it's Instagram, and sometimes people only upload their highlights of their life, so there's no real way of understanding where that person is mentally, where they are in their true essence of themselves, isn't it? Because again, you don't know them personally. And of course, you just end up wasting time on Instagram too. There's that aspect of it too. So I ended up taking a bit of a step back from Instagram. So much so, I think of recently, I've kind of deactivated mine. I didn't really use it as much anyway. I just uploaded and dropped. I just uploaded and ran away. Really, I didn't really check my likes or anything. I just kept uploading. I kept it moving. Anyway, but I understand the problems of Instagram. I understand that the negatives of it is that because you get to see everyone on the platform, you essentially, even if they got a private account, you just request them, hopefully they add you. But because you get to see everyone on there, it turns into a level playing field, which it really isn't. It's not a level playing field, right? Some of the people that you're following have a long history, or a long, runway, a long road of experience, loads of years doing whatever they've been doing out of the limelight. Then now they've suddenly come into the limelight and they're on Instagram, and it makes you think that you're not where you should be. You start comparing yourself to people who have been in the game 10, 20, 30 years, but then because they're on Instagram, and because you've only discovered them recently, you sometimes think that you're not doing what you should be doing. Or they just got lucky, or they're just better at it than you, or they're just more whatever it may be. It's just a bad way to compare yourself, right? Especially during festival season. I know for my friends in my social group who are in the scene, I know this season's usually some of the it's the worst time for them on social media, because everyone's going to Coachella. Then they're going to, what's the bigger festival they're going to go to afterward? Coachella. Then probably Fashion Week is going to come up later on. Then there's going to be Glastonbury that's happening. Then there's going to be all the other festivals happening in London, like Field Day and stuff. Then there's going to be that festival in where is it? Is it in Vietnam? The one that a lot of people go to from the scene. Then there's going to be Miami Art Bars and all that sort of stuff. The New York Book Fair. Loads of shit's going to happen, right? Scene stuff that a lot of my friends aren't going to be able to go to, or won't be invited to. And it's going to make them feel shit about themselves, right? And Instagram is the worst place to go to when those things are happening, because if you're susceptible to feeling down because you're not where you should be, because based on someone else's profile, then you're also susceptible to get a lot of FOMO from people who are at the place that you want to be at. Whether it's a gender trade show, whether it's bread and butter, whether it's this sneaker convention, whether it's this store opening, whatever it may be, it's going to make you feel really shit about yourself. So I think for the most part, some of my friends, I had a really bad relationship with it. I haven't so much, because I've never really attached that much value into social media, like as in that. And I just know the platform, right? I know what I'm getting with it. I know the pros and cons. I just try and kind of avoid the things that are going to make me feel bummed out. But with that being said, Sophie Turner from Game of Thrones, she recently was on Dr. Phil, and she was talking about how social media caused her depression, which is kind of sad to hear, but also something really revealing. And I think the earlier clip I saw of it, I think she was basically saying that she'd never had any depressive thoughts before she was, I think, 13 or something like that, right? And it happened to, and I think Dr. Phil kind of dug in a bit deeper, and then they realized basically it all coincided with her kind of appearance on Game of Thrones. It coincided with her kind of notoriety in that realm, and then obviously her becoming like a bigger celebrity because of the Game of Thrones stuff, and more, and then she's getting more feedback through social media based on her character, maybe the things people don't like about her, blah 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 blah, and eventually it turned into full-blown depression. And she kind of speaks about it now. I haven't watched the whole thing, so we're gonna watch it together, and then we can comment as we go along.
And you really fascinating. I want to know everything about you.
But I'm really excited to be here.
Why are you excited?
Because I'm a huge fan of your show.
Do you watch the show?
Yeah, every day.
Yeah.
Joe will tell you. I like when I'm doing my makeup.
She's going out. She goes out with Joe Jonas. All right, I didn't know that. Okay, awesome.
I have spare. I watch your show.
Are you like a mental health advocate? Do you like that kind of stuff?
I do. Since I was like really young, we've had a whole mental health thing in my family. What I like about your show is how you don't sugarcoat anything, and you do it for the benefit of the person that you're talking to.
You say that it's been an issue in your family. Was it like in your immediate family, or is this a generational thing?
No, it's my immediate family and myself as well.
Yeah.
I've suffered with depression for about 5 or 6 years now.
So what's been your biggest challenge?
The biggest challenge is just for me getting out of bed and getting out of the house.
You're 22.
Yeah, so that's the depression that I don't think I've ever had. I've had the depressive thoughts in terms of, just generally, if you're somebody with high aspirations, or not even high aspirations, just somebody that just wants more from life, and you're not getting it, and the people around you are, and you feel as if time is passing you by, you're within your rights to feel a bit bummed out, right? To feel a bit like, fuck, man, when's it ever going to get better? When am I going to have that thing? And sometimes you even reach those points where you're like, I don't even want all of what that person has. I just want 5%. I don't even want everything. I just want to be able to, like, I don't know, holiday 4 times a year whilst working on my phone. I want to be able to have my own studio. That's all I want. I want to be able to have one gallery show. You don't even want everything that person wants. You just want 5% of it, but you're not getting it. And that can sometimes lead to depressive thoughts, right? So that's the only thing that I've had. But I never had the idea of, like, not waking up in the morning. The only times I've not wanted to wake up in the mornings when I wanted to go to work or something like that, right? But even then, it's just like, you know, you just have to get on with it because you're understanding straight away that, no, this work is paying for the things that I want to do outside of it. So anyway, let's continue.
Right?
Yeah. I really don't think I had any issues with it up until I was around 17. And then it all of a sudden just kind of hit me.
Is there anything that caused it that you can think of?
My friends were all going to university and I was working, but I was still living at my parents' house, and so there was, like, I felt very alone.
Oh, that's exactly like me. See? Okay, maybe I did suffer from depression. I'm being in denial. Maybe I did. But I'm just saying in the beginning, the only time I had really depressive thoughts was when I was at home. I went to a sixth form. My sixth form was weird because I guess I went to a sixth form that wasn't part of my secondary school, right? So I was an external student. So I didn't have any friends at that new place I went to, apart from a couple of boys that I went from my school with too, that I went from my secondary school to the sixth form with, right? But then once you get to sixth form, you end up splitting up and you end up finding your own friends because you're in different classes. So then when I went to that sixth form, I think I was so desperate to find friends that I invested more in the relationships than I probably should have. I probably was more of a friend to them than they were to me, which is okay. You know, it's all right. And it's a weird, uneven balance. But then what happened is that once I left the sixth form, or once I kind of graduated after the 2 years and never went to university, I ended up like an idiot picking a university in London, Central St. Martin's, but I ended up staying in London too, living at my parents' house because the accommodation at that time was so expensive. And I guess I wasn't really looking well. I wasn't really checking other places. The dorms, I remember, was too expensive. I didn't have the money for it, the tuition, the student loan didn't cover everything. So I was just in a weird place. So I remember that had been a problem. And then obviously all my friends going out of London. The fact that I was accepted to a university outside of London, specifically the one in Kent, and this tutor was so nice. He really wanted me to be part of the course. He was really enthusiastic to have me in there. Then I said no, I went to Central Mines instead, right? Which is one of the biggest regrets of my life. And then I ended up going to Central Mines. I ended up having one of the worst times ever. And ended up going there, making no friends because most of my class was full of foreign people, especially guys from China and shit, and professionals that just go in there just to kind of pick up certificates so they can get, add more zeros to their salary and stuff. So they were adults really, and most of them truly, so they weren't really looking to talk to a 19-year-old. And then when I went back home, or when I went to have a good time and enjoy myself outside of work, I had to come battle with the fact that my parents didn't want me to be outside. So that was one of the worst times. Oh, Jesus, man. We're so similar. Jesus, maybe I was depressed. I just wasn't in denial about it. Fuck.
By now, you're 17, so you're 4 years on Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Before you start getting depressed.
It only started to kind of go downhill, I think, when I started to, like, hit puberty and I was gaining weight, and then there was, like, the social media scrutiny and everything. That was when it kind of hit me.
Did social media cause you to get depressed?
I think it definitely was a bit of a catalyst. You see 10 great comments, and you ignore them, but one negative comment, and it just, like, throws you off.
What would people say that bothered you?
The character that I play on my show is called Sansa, and people used to write, like, oh, damn, Sansa gained 10 pounds, or Sansa needs to lose 10 pounds.
Really?
Yeah.
Bloody hell.
It's just a lot of weight comments. Or I would have, like, spotty skin because I was a teenager.
I didn't even notice that.
And that's normal, and I used to get a lot of comments about my skin and my weight and how I wasn't a good actress.
And that bothered you?
Yeah.
And what would you say to yourself about that?
I would just believe it. I would just say, yeah, I am spotty, I am fat, I am a bad actress, and I just believed it.
So you would go to work the next day, how would that affect you?
So her social media stuff isn't even what I was talking about. Remember I was talking about in terms of people in the scene being a little bit too, comparing themselves too much to people who have probably shouldn't compare themselves to because they're on a platform that kind of evens the playing field, so and so. But it sounds like her depression is just, again, what a bad time to be on social media, right? You're on this hit show that's watched by millions all over the world. You are becoming a young woman, right? You're going through puberty on TV. You're under scrutiny every single day or every single week when the show's on. You're growing up in front of everybody. You're going through whatever shit you're going through in your own personal life, and then people are commenting on what your appearance is on social media. Fuck. This might lend itself to, this might really give credence to what Joe Rogan always says about, because I don't really necessarily agree with it, because I don't think it's the best way to deal with the problem, but the idea of like just not reading comments if you're of a certain level of celebrity, you should probably leave the comments on, because I think if you don't leave the comments on, you're probably going to end up getting more hate. I've seen from people, like, it's like people that on YouTube who turn off the likes and close comments. You always get more harsh criticism than you would do if you just left the comments up and let people talk whatever nonsense they have to say, and delete the ones that go over the line. But you're probably within your rights. If you're that level of celebrity, you should just probably not ever read your social media. Just post and dump, post and dump, post and dump, post and dump, post and dump. Just keep it moving, because there's never going to be a time where you're going to get that. You're never going to get the love that you want to get. Look at Ariana Grande. Look what she's going through, right? She's suffering. She's essentially going through a quasi mental breakdown via social media, and no one really seems to give a shit. Luckily, she has a pretty good fan base that she's interacting with that kind of keeps her spirits up. But you know, she's kind of been on social media recently and kind of said, you know, how much she's really suffering from having to perform all these really painful songs that she wrote that kind of, you know, really spoke about a time in her life that she just kind of really doesn't want to revisit anymore. But it's the songs that people want to hear. You know, it's like, I don't know, man. Wow.
When you went to do your scenes the next day.
Well, I get them to tighten my corset a lot. I think it's tighten my
You got a foot in your back, pulling.
Yeah, like pulling. I just got very, very self-conscious. I would be concerned about angles. I'd be concerned about my face. I have like a big nose, and so I would be like, I don't know how to angle myself, and it would just affect me creatively. And I couldn't be true to the character because I was so worried about Sophie.
And when you say depressed, how did that express for you?
I had no motivation to do anything or go out, or even with like my best friends, I wouldn't want to see them. I have a friend, Maisie, who was on the show with me, and she's just a year younger than me, and she and I were growing up together. She was my best friend, and so she was the only one that I really told about all of it.
And when there were breaks, would you stay inside, stay in your room, stay in bed?
Oh yeah. I would. Maisie and I used to do it together. We were, I think, being friends with each other was quite destructive because we were going through the same thing, and so we used to get home from set, go to a little supermarket across the road, and just buy food and go back to our room and just eat it in bed. And we never socialized for a couple of years.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, we didn't socialize with anyone but ourselves.
Yeah. And it never occurred to you that 99% of the girls in the world would love to be you?
I count myself as very lucky for that, but I don't think I viewed myself as worthy of anything that I was doing.
How do you do in your relationship?
Good, I think. I think we're good. What do you think, Joe? Confident around you. Yeah. I won't be judged by him. He's seen the worst.
Oh, bless him. So sweet.
It was horrible, wasn't it, Joe? Yeah.
When someone tells you they love you every day, it makes you really think about why that is.
Bloody hell, man.
I think it makes you love yourself a bit more. So, I love myself.
Yeah. You know, someone like you that is an absolute icon to your generation, that is transparent about mental health issues, can save thousands of lives in America this year.
That is absolutely what I hope to be like. To just speak about it and be transparent about it. That's the payoff that I would like, is for people to not feel so alone and feel encouraged to talk to someone about it.
Think about how many girls, 8th or 9th grade, parents go in a room and find that they've hung themselves in their closet because they've been bullied on social media.
Yeah.
And think about how many girls won't do that because of what you said.
Love Dr. Phil, man. How can you not love Dr. Phil?
The girl will be sitting on their bed instead of hanging in the closet because of what you said.
How can you not love Dr. Phil, man? How can you not love Dr. Phil? That's amazing.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
God bless Sophie, man. God bless Sophie.
When we post this up, we're going to put the number for suicide hotlines.
Yeah.
I'll get you the statistics.
Man.
of the baseline number of calls they have before this is posted and the number of calls they have after it's posted.
That would be amazing.
I predict it will go up at least 200% and never come back to baseline.
Bloody hell, man.
That's how powerful what you're doing can be. That's what I call creating meaning to suffering.
Fuck. Man, making me tear up a bit too, man. That's just like it's just hard, isn't it? I think it's hard for us regular civilians to really sympathize with people on that level of celebrity or fame. I think I've always tried to do that myself. Nowadays, the older I've become over the years, the more I try to read around top topics, the more I've listened to various people talk on interviews. I've become more tolerant, and I've also become more sympathetic and kind of viewed everyone like a human being. I think some people just have this block in their head where they're like, oh, you're on TV, you signed up for this is what the situation is. Or if a rich person goes through some financial hardship, oh, they're rich anyway, they'll be all right. No one really has sympathy, right? No one's able to extend that sympathy unless the person's in their shoes. They can't, or even worse, they can't put themselves in the shoes of somebody else. But I think having read the story of Sophie Turner, having seen some of the backlash that somebody like a Leonard Dunham has got over the years, and I've not really been a big fan of her from the very beginning of when I first watched Girls. It kind of really didn't seem like it made sense. She was essentially writing a show about a really shitty person that essentially had really a great group of friends. It didn't really feel real to me. And over time, you got to see that the person that she was writing about in Girls was essentially a mirror of herself. And then, loads of drama that happened outside of the show. It kind of made her paint her in a bad light. People generally just don't like her, right? So much so that I think she even got a podcast that's called The C Word, right? Which is essentially what people used to call her, right? And she's basically wearing like a badge of honor. She's aware that she has a very unlikable personality and is just trying to pull it in again. But I don't know what it's worth. I don't know how much it's worth banging onto her and kind of getting on top of her and kind of making her feel shitty, because I'm sure she's aware of how bad of a person she is, but she just can't help it, right? And I think sometimes in life, we are not as tolerant as we should be of bad characters. We don't need to have them around us all the time, but we don't necessarily need to change them to act the way that we want to act. We just need to be aware of where they are and kind of have them to an arm's distance, right? The same feeling that I've had towards Brie Larson recently. She's not somebody that I would probably want to have a coffee with, or I'm sure she would want a coffee with me. But again, I think we have to be tolerant that not everyone's going to have the same sociological, ideological, political views as us, and they're allowed to exist, right? Brie Larson is like a raging feminist. She kind of says, really wacko things, and she's always got a backup in some way, shape or form. But I'm sure there's things that happen in her life that have made her the way she is, that have made her act the way she is. And she's got this far in life anyway, and who am I to say what she should and shouldn't do? But what I can do is, again, keep it on arm distance, say you can do what you want to do, but then not be in her comments talking shit or posting videos about how she's the worst person ever, all this sort of stuff. I don't think that does anyone any good, any service. And then when that person decides to kind of take themselves out of the equation by doing the unthinkable and committing suicide, or by locking themselves in a room and refusing to work, then when the public is blamed for that person going through whatever they're going through, the public then throws their hands up like, no, they should know what they're signing up for. It's they're celebrity. It's like, no, we have a responsibility with each other to treat each other like human beings, to be understanding that we're all in this together. So much so that Sansa, Sophie Turner from Game of Thrones, that's an even better example, right? We all love the show. We're all appreciative that, they might not have all started off as being incredible actors or actresses. But again, who are we to judge? But whatever it is, we do judge. But they're growing up in front of our face. They're also delivering one of the best shows that we have ever watched, right, in recent years. So much so that we're all gagging and waiting until Sunday for us to watch the next episode that is essentially going to be the biggest battle ever in Game of Thrones history. But we all kind of contribute to this idea that, if we treat her good, then potentially she might actually be a good actress, and she might deliver a better performance that is actually going to make for a better show. But droning onto her about her weight, about her spots, about her voice, and all this sort of stuff, it's like her nose. It's like, fuck. What do we want? Do we want her to come into, and then when she turns into the next, and then when she shows up to the next season or to the spin-off show with a nose job, we're all gonna be up in arms about it, right? We're not gonna be happy when we see that. Oh man, you shouldn't have done that. She fucked up her face. But what do you think that? Where do you think that comes from? That desire to do that sort of thing. It doesn't come inwards. It comes from the external questions and opinions of people on the social media. And I think that's where I get a little bit bummed out about it. I'm like, fuck, man. I just get a little bit sad for people like that. They have to go through those kind of things alone. But again, she's not alone. She got people like Dr. Phil in her life that have been able to speak to her so candidly. I'm sure her boyfriend Joe Jonas is there too, who's kind of holding it down. Her friends and family too. But I just wish the people that didn't have that support system around them would know that, you know, you essentially all you have to do is put this little thing down, right? This little smartphone, just put it down. Just put it down. That's it. Post and dump. And I think over time, over years, and again, maybe it's a bit reductionist to say that, but I think over time we will probably have a lot more research and experiments that will go into this and kind of finding out what the issue is with social media, how it's affecting people. But I think there is something going on there, man. Like something truly fucked up is going on there. And again, this is Sophie Turner, somebody on TV. Imagine people that aren't on TV that are just going through this stuff, right? Young girls and young boys who are kind of growing up on this app, who probably don't look like the conventional person that does this X, Y, Z, and Z. Imagine how mean kids are in school anyway. Then give them the ability to talk anonymously on social media, and guess what happens, right? So I think, I don't know, man. I'm just hoping it gets better over time, and I'm hoping somebody is able to understand that these things that we're going through are quite serious, man. People need support, they need help, but what they don't need is people piling onto them and giving them wrong criticism. But I think in general, for the celebrities that do exist out there, the only thing that you can do is probably adhere to the Joe Rogan advice and just post and dump. That's all you can do. You can't really engage. I think maybe in the beginning when you're building up an audience and trying to, trying to get your voice out there, it might be good to kind of do the whole engagement thing a la Gary V, right? Reply to every comment. But I think there has to reach a point in time where you just have to kind of stop and pull away from it and not be the guy that's kind of like replying to all comments. Because especially if your makeup doesn't allow you to kind of just read a negative comment and keep it moving, if that affects you the whole entire day or week, then you just have to not read the comments. Just have somebody else kind of manage your phone prior, or not even manage your phone, just, be like, look, I don't reply to comments, I'm just going to post and dump and just keep it moving. That's basically it. But yeah, that's a really good interview. I'll link to it in the show notes if you want to check it out. There's a full interview that's available now. It's Phil, it's Dr. Phil's podcast called Fill in the Blanks, which is great. I'm surprised he didn't get on the podcast sooner. He's kind of set up for it. He's a quality guy. And I think actually his reputation's increased a lot since the recent years. I think he's moved away from being the Jeremy Kyle-ish kind of character and has moved into actual real psychology, and he's become a real help to people, especially disenfranchised people that come from the downtrodden, especially post Bad Baby Danielle, whatever her name is. He's kind of come out of this really well, and I think the podcast is going to be a big success. Anyway, moving on up. What else we got here? Elon Musk plans to roll out Robotaxis. Ooh, this was fucking awesome. So the other day, Tesla announced an autonomous vehicle live stream or presentation, essentially, where they're basically debuting the advancements that they've made in their kind of autonomous technology, the self-driving cars, and how, what the next what the roadmap looks for the future going on. And essentially, Elon Musk kind of announced something that not a lot of people knew anything about, and it's basically essentially his plan to introduce robo-taxis to the fleet of Teslas that he has available at the moment. The general premise of it is, anyone that has a Tesla now, anyone that owns a Tesla can essentially rent them out or hire them out to Tesla in the Tesla network in the same way that you would do Airbnb if you owned your own flat. You essentially would add it to the Tesla network of robo-taxis that would then essentially drive the car out of your driveway to a particular person who wants to pick it up the same way you would do with an Uber. And then they basically use the car however long you have it available for, the time period, if it's over the weekend or whatever it may be. And then Tesla will take a portion of the profits, like 20 or 30%, and you'll keep the rest. So it'll be a way for you to earn money with the vehicle that you have, whilst people use it at the time that you don't really use it. And I think he basically made a stat where most people only use their cars Monday to Friday when they're, moving back and forth for work and stuff. And essentially it's going to be another realm of a revenue stream for Tesla, outside of them making cars, and it might obviously then affect the way that they're going to streamline the production of their cars. But it's an amazing idea. I'm going to play the quick video of it now that kind of talks about it, and we're going to talk as we go through it.
I feel very confident predicting autonomous robotaxi for Tesla next year.
Tesla's Autonomous Investor Day saw CEO Elon Musk unveil plans to roll out 1 million robotaxis by next year. Described as a cross between Uber and Airbnb, the service will allow Tesla owners to rent out their autonomous cars as taxis.
It's amazing,
when they're
isn't
not
it?
using
How
them,
cool that is.
effectively making some cash on the side. Robotaxis can essentially be any Tesla vehicle with autonomous driving functionality. Here's how the program would work.
So if you own the car, you can add or subtract it to the Tesla network, and Tesla would take 25 or 30% of the revenue. And then in places where there aren't enough people sharing their cars, we would just have dedicated Tesla vehicles.
That is amazing. So they're gonna end up, designing a whole fleet of Teslas, or putting on the street. I wonder if they'll probably have them in a particular color or something, and they'll have them just driving around, which is gonna be fucking awesome. But it also points to the future of Uber, which I think a lot of people have kind of speculated that they were gonna move eventually to autonomous vehicles in some urban locations. It makes sense that they would kind of use that kind of technology in order to kind of build on top of it. But the Tesla network is something that they're only using. It's in the walled garden of only Teslas. But I'm sure, I have a feeling in the future this might develop, and other brands might end up partnering up with Tesla. Because I think if you're Uber, but actually they did, right? Uber recently did acquire the company. I forgot the company's name, but they did acquire a company for 600 million odd that was developing autonomous vehicle technology. I forgot what the company was called. So I kind of think they absorbed it within Tesla. So I'm not sure how far they are in the development stages of that. If they're going to then end up partnering up with them, because I know, because that was the issue with Google Maps, wasn't it? Google Maps and iPhone Maps. iPhone, I don't know why they didn't actually just partner up and use Google Maps instead on their phone. They ended up making their own apps, which I don't know if people use the iPhone Maps, which I don't really use. I usually use the Google Maps instead. But I don't know whether or not, if you're on Uber now, would you want to just go full bent and just invest in your own network system, your own autonomous driving system, or would you want to then just piggyback off the back of what Tesla's already done and the years and years of research and experimentation and iteration that they've had over the years? Well, I don't know. But then what would that cost you in terms of revenue splits, all that malarkey? Who knows?
So when you use the car, we'll show you our ride-sharing app.
That is amazing, isn't it? That is so cool.
Get in and go for a drive. It's really simple.
That is so cool.
So you just take the same Tesla app that you currently have, we'll update the app and add a summon Tesla or commit your car to the fleet.
Wow.
Elon suggested an alternative use for your car than sitting in your driveway or work parking lot.
So here's the times.
The car is about 10 to 12 hours a week. So most people will drive 1.5 to 2 hours a day.
Yeah.
If you have a car that can operate autonomously, then most likely you have that car operate for a third of the week or longer.
With additional wear on the car due to extended use, it can cause one to question, how long will these robotaxis last?
So the current cost of a Model 3 Robotaxi is less than $38,000. We expect that number to improve over time. The entire vehicle, battery pack inclusive, is designed to operate for 1 million miles with minimal maintenance. You won't need steering wheels or pedals, and it will just leave those. So
that would be amazing. Imagine sitting. It's already freaky. I've watched the video. There's a video I'm gonna get up in a minute of the autonomous vehicle driving around. It just looks so gnarly. It's so awesome. You forget just how incredible and how impressive it is to see a car just driving itself around the neighborhood, switching lanes, turning, stopping at traffic. It just blows your mind. But imagine getting into a Robotaxi, and then it having no steering wheel, having no pedals, it is driving you around. That's going to be fucking gnarly as fuck. So I'm assuming they're going to use the phone in the app. Just basically scan your phone in it, jump in, and you're able to drive around. That'd be fucking awesome. And I wonder how cheap it would be too compared to Uber. Oh, actually, you know what? Would be funny? If I bet, right, people would I think I would. Would you pay more? That's the thing. I don't know how people's behaviors are, but mine has changed, right? When I get into Ubers nowadays, I hardly ever, unless I'm in a group of people, ever ask the driver if I can put my music on. I just leave it. I just sit down and just chill. I let them have the radio on. I don't know. I just think there's so many kids out there that get in Ubers and just fucking crank up the fucking little yachty and stuff. It probably pisses them off. So I don't want to do that. I'll just leave it, right? So if anything's going to happen, I'll just be on my phone or the Uber driver start talking to me, have a conversation. But I don't want to disturb their own. I just want to get in the car, let have them drive me, I want to drive and jump off. But there's also been occasions recently where I didn't want to engage in conversation. I kind of just kept my answers really short. I didn't want to talk just because I just didn't want to talk, right? I knew I was going to a party. I was going to be talking all day long, or I don't know. I just wasn't in the mood to kind of talk that day. So I wonder, is there a portion of people out there who wouldn't mind paying a premium to use a Robotaxi just so they can jump into a car that has a Bluetooth speaker system already set up, where you can just connect to straight away. Don't need to talk to anybody, and you can just sit there on your own, right? That would be quite cool. You can have a sleep, you can have whatever. You can just relax on your own inside the car. People will probably pay a premium to do that, right? I know I would. I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind paying more, but I think they're saying that it's going to be even cheaper than it would be to use Uber, which is fucking insane.
Rideshare apps.
Cost of ride sharing is going to go up to $2 to $3 a mile. The cost to run a Robotaxi, we think less than 18 cents a mile.
Bloody hell.
As for making money with your
That's
Robotaxi
insane.
as an owner,
That's insane.
We think probably something on the order of $30,000 per year. By the middle of next year, we'll have over 1 million Tesla cars on the road with full self-driving hardware, feature complete, at a reliability level that we would consider that no one needs to pay attention. Meaning you go to sleep, from an app standpoint, you fast forward a year, maybe a year and 3 months, but next year for sure, we will have over 1 million Robotaxis on the road.
That is really cool, man. That is super, super, super impressive. And again, I think we forget to realize just how impressive that work is that Elon Musk is doing. Self-driving cars. And I think in general anyway, I think the future for me personally when I drive cars is going to be for me to get a Tesla. I know I want to own one. I think nowadays I think he just said recently the update is that because of the Robotaxi plan, they've changed the lease agreement. I think with the lease agreement, you could lease a Tesla and then you could buy it at the end. But now I think what I'm going to do is actually buy a Tesla outright once I save up the adequate amount of cash and just have it as a car. I think it's worth the investment. 30 grand for a car that you can essentially, charge, you can charge at most power stations it may be, and it drives itself. It's an incredible ride experience. It's something that's worthwhile. Let me quickly show you the video of the car, driving itself around and stuff. Just to, again, it blew my mind. Hopefully it blows yours. But this is incredible. I think they've kind of showcased it again. It just takes off and zooms around. It's just it's just incredible to see that, a car driving itself, essentially. You start sitting in the passenger seat. You could probably sit at the back if you wanted to. I think there was a video of somebody doing that, wasn't it? Of a kid just sitting in the back seat of a car while the Tesla was driving him around. That was fucking gnarly on the motorway. But this is so freaky. It's going to be freaky to see that in general. Like people, I'm sure there'll be high value executives and stuff and all those kind of people sitting in the back of their seat conducting business deals. This is going to up the level of productivity of people so much, isn't it? The guys that do travel around with their car, driving around places in terms of, salespeople, wherever they may be, high flying executives. This is going to really up their productivity levels. You'd hope so anyway. Sitting in the car and, doing what they're doing. It's going to be insane. And for the people for the parents of young kids too, who don't want their kids jumping into Ubers with strangers, this is great too, because essentially they're going to be jumping into a car. They can alert their parents when they're on their way home. There's going to be no driver there. It's going to be completely safe. It's just them in the car in there. The only ones that they can unlock it. Blah, 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 blah. It's going to be an incredible experience to see. But yeah, these cars just driving themselves around the place is just fucking insane. Again, I think we forget how cool this stuff is because we're so used to seeing it. I think Teslas go for around 30 grand nowadays. Again, it's worth kind of investing in. It's something that I think that's definitely going to be my first car. First of all, I've got to get a license anyway. I'm just going to get automatic license, of course, because, this car is like a go-kart for the most part. I'm just going to get an automatic license. That's going to be my car going forward. 100%, man. It's just insane. Wow. It keeps going around. I think it's going through. I think someone read in the comments. This is whoever's driving the car is from their location at home all the way to Tesla actual factory, and then takes off his seatbelt, presses the button, opens the door, lock, closes it, and it completely shuts off the whole car. Like, so cool, right? Man, I can't wait to get a Tesla. Anyway, that's it. Tesla autonomous vehicles. Check it out. What else is on the list here? Because we have to wrap up soon. What do we have here? Influencers competing with brands. This is a very interesting article from the Fashion Law that I wanted to check out and mention to you guys. The Fashion Law, one of my favorite websites. I recommend you check it out. They talk about loads of fashion related topics, loads of really cool industry news bits. I remember they had a bit of beef with a couple of people. I think they had a bit of beef with people from Diet Prada, but who doesn't have beef with Diet Prada? They're always up in the tea and all that stuff. But I recommend you check it out. I think it's run by a woman that's involved in fashion law, or she's actually a lawyer for fashion brands or something along those kind of lines. I forgot what the actual background of her is, but I recommend you check it out regardless. It's a really cool website, and they've got this great article that speaks about influencers are launching big businesses of their own, and now traditional brands have to compete, which is a very interesting article because again it's kind of it shows the paradigm shifting right between the influencers and the big brands. The big brands go and seek out these influencers so they can tap into a particular market or particular customer base, and now the influencers are gaining more experience working with these bigger brands, working with massive producers, manufacturing, meeting tight deadlines, that they're then now taking that knowledge and applying it to their own brands, or they're working underneath the big brands with their own little capsule collections, which are sometimes outperforming the main line. It's just getting fucking ridiculous and crazy. But I'll get this article up on the screen so you guys can see and we can talk about it. Here it is. Influencers are launching big businesses of their own, and now traditional brands have to compete. I think it's talking about this lady here from Something Navy, which I wasn't familiar with. The article says, in the bygone days of the pre-internet era, consumers were forced to rely almost exclusively on their friends to produce for product recommendations. A simple "where did you get those jeans?" drove brand discovery, and "have you tried this cream?" often prompted purchases. Magazine celebrity style were influential, of course, but nothing in this realm would compare to the boom that was brought about by influencers and the ability to sway the purchasing decisions of their followers, for the most part by way of endorsements of the offerings of third-party brands, which is very interesting and very true. So much so, I'm going to get this little magazine out. This basically speaks about it. Where is it? Here. There, right? Get one of these magazines out here. Which is very, very true, right? In my experience, because again, in years gone by, when I was heavy in the fashion scene, the thing that we used to do back in the day was buy magazines like this, right? This is maybe not this because this is a bit old, but magazines like Asayan, or Boon or Warp, whatever those magazines were. You'd buy these magazines, and essentially these magazines were run by the tastemakers of the scene, right? Of the industry or the scene that you're into, right? These were the magazines that are run by the tastemakers, similar to the fashion magazines you get nowadays. And they had certain bits of the magazine that kind of profiled certain brands and stuff that you might want, like jumpers and stuff. And then they'd have basically street style pictures like this with people from the store, like star fits and stuff, whatever, that Japanese people are obsessed with, that kind of bled into some European magazines, stuff like this, right? And this used to be the stuff that a lot of the forward-thinking consumers would use as a basis to judge, as a basis to gauge what brands they should be into, what they should be following, what style they should be having in the back of their head. And then over time, this obviously permeated popular culture, and more people started getting into it. So it got harder and harder to kind of keep one step ahead, and it got harder and harder to kind of find newer things because everyone was basically finding the same sort of thing. And I think it kind of translated a little bit into the fashion scene, where for the most part, guys and girls were maybe buying these fashion magazines and looking at the stuff that was highlighted, products that you should be buying for next season, and kind of buying them from there. But then, it's not immediate, right? You got to wait a few months for the magazine to come out. The stuff that you want is featured in the magazine might not be out a few months after that. But then when social media came about and influencers started springing up on platforms such as Instagram and Facebook, whatever it may be, it was immediate what you wanted to buy, right? If a girl wore this great top that she bought from H&M, you could go out and buy it straight away, right? And you got to see what it was like on. It was a person that you maybe admired their style. They might have had a similar body shape to you. They might wear the similar kind of clothes to you. They might just be somebody that you think is cool, that you want to copy or whatever. But you could immediately buy that thing. You don't need to wait a long time to do it. And because a lot of the stuff in the beginning was a bit haberdashery, is a bit mixed up with thrift, it was vintage, it was runway stuff, it was high street stuff, it was stuff that you could easily get. And I think because of that foundation, for the most part, unless you're following, I don't know, Anna De La Rosa, right, who buys entire runway looks, for the most part, most influencers are wearing stuff that is pretty much affordable, or you can find alternatives for. So it's essentially building up a lot of brand interest and desire because people can buy these things straight away. And now brands obviously want to tap into it because those are the customers that you actually want to talk to because they're so hyper specific, right? They're into this kind of girl, they're into that kind of style. They're gonna buy essentially everything that she wears, and I think it's cool to see because I think again magazines like this are great, but essentially they've been replaced by influencers like Lucas Sabat, Ian Connor, all these kind of people. They've essentially replaced these kind of magazines, right? No one buys these magazines anymore because there's no need. You're just gonna go and follow someone on Instagram, and they're gonna tell you exactly what to buy, and you can buy it straight away. If not, maybe a couple of months later. So this article is a really good representation or reflection of that current times. Now, let's continue. The life cycle of an influencer has experienced many evolutions. The most significant likely being the transition from blog-based content, which is what I was part of, to the wiles of social media, where billions of individuals regularly spend time, which is true. I think, let's say blogs probably attracted millions of customers, and you have to be specific. You have to find the blog, first of all. It was hard to discover them. There was no algorithm that recommended you a blog that you might want to follow for the most part. But with Instagram accounts, if you follow one, you might end, if you start liking their pictures, the algorithm will recognize the things that you like, or then start showing you stuff in the discovery page. It might, if sometimes now they have that option on Instagram where if you follow one person, it drops down a little box where you can follow other people that are similar to that kind of person. It's all really cool. Instagram alone, most influencer platform of choice, boasts a roster of more than 1 billion active users waiting to be engaged with. YouTube, another popular host site, is even bigger than Gmail, and nearly, it's just mad. YouTube is bigger than Gmail, and because everyone's got a Gmail account, right? Which is fucking nuts. And nearly as big as Facebook, with over 1.8 billion monthly logged in users, which is the real specific thing, right? Logged in users, according to Business Insider. In these platforms, influencers found a goldmine, largely thanks to the ease of accessibility on the part of consumers. All the while, another shift has been underway. Roughly a decade or so into the proliferation of the 1 billion plus influence industry, from mega level ones to the much smaller scale, but largely effective nano influencers, one that does not center on where influencers are well influencing, but what they are influencing, which is very true. On a single day last September, Ariel Sharmas managed to drum up $4 million in sales for Nordstrom. That is incredible. On a single day, and in the process caused the retailer's e-commerce site to crash thanks to a rush in traffic. The shopping frenzy coincided with the debut drop of the super influencer's permanent Something Navy collection. Okay, that's awesome. So she's got a permanent collection with Nordstrom called Something Navy that they've kind of developed in-house, right? So again, that's amazing, because now what you're seeing is, I think in the past you had it's like the Zoella, right, who's kind of got a lot of hate online. For instance, like, she gets presented with a calendar or with a makeup line that the brand has already made, and then she just names the palettes, or she just names the color swatches, or she just I don't know, puts a picture on the front cover of the book, or she just endorses it and kind of says it's hers, but it's not really hers. She didn't really take part in the development. They're just using her to kind of introduce the product to the market. But the more savvy retailers, the more savvy brands are understanding of what that customer base wants. They want to see the behind the scene footage of this Ariel Sharmas going into the Nordstrom offices, designing the actual product, sitting down with the designers, getting to know how to work the complexes of manufacturing, really honing that product. So when they finally get it, it feels like something that lady has touched. It doesn't feel like something that just come from the Nordstrom designers, has kind of come through her inbox. She's approved one and that's it. They want to feel that's actually been designed. And I think this is the evolution that we're going to see going forward. Brands actually partnering up with big influencers, creating their own little sub brand that they're going to house in-house at the brand. So it's going to be within their infrastructure, and then they're going to be able to split the revenues. But then what you've got there is a more committed influencer, because it's something that is, again, it adds to their credibility, adds to their CV. It brings them in a whole different light. It separates them from the influencers that are just willing to get free product from brands. And again, it kind of builds up brand loyalty from the customers, because sometimes the hope is that if the influencer pulls away, that some of the customers are still going to hang around and buy stuff from Nordstrom's. It's fucking amazing, but $4 million a day is insane. The shopping frenzy coincided Something Navy collection, the Seattle headquarters retailer, a seamless extension of the Sharmas dedicated old Something Navy blog. Oh, awesome. So it's just a tie-in with that. Her highly followed Instagram account, which boasts 1.2 million followers who range in age from 13 to 60 years old. For the most part, for most of nearly 10 from for most of the nearly 10 years that Shanas has maintained her website, her work has been tied large part to other companies. Again, you have to keep that in mind. 10 years in the game. If you're a girl out there and you're fed up and you want to get involved, you're like, oh, how did she get all the love? How do I not get any of it? She's been in it 10 years. Relax. By the way of sponsored Instagram posts, endorsements, and branding collaboration, Shanas and other influencers have been extremely successful at creating widespread brand awareness when they tag a dress they're wearing or a bag they're carrying. Creating brand discovery amongst their followers is a core of most influencers' power, and as many as 99% of recently polled consumers say they discover new products thanks to influencers that they follow. That is insane. 99% of people say they've discovered new things from it's fucking insane. Which makes sense. Which makes sense why Instagram are now really pushing hard with this Instagram checkout feature that I think is rolling out. I think it's already in the works, so it's been already rolled out for the most part. A feature is that you can tag an actual item on Instagram that can then lead somebody to then go buy it through a dedicated inbuilt web kind of portal that you can buy products from. So essentially see a bag, see a pair of trainers and purchase it all through the app, have it kind of sent away to you. Again, it's a really credible article. I recommend you check it out. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I don't want to bore you guys too much, but it's a really good article. It speaks about this girl, Nila Shanas, from Something Navy, who then created this amazing little sub. A real kind of evolution on the capsule collections that I think a lot of people are going to start doing. The more the years progress, we're going to see a lot of this happening. I'm more interested to see what happens with the kids, especially with the kids under 16, what those kind of influencers do with this kind of availability and this kind of opportunity, especially the girls and kids that are involved in toys and stuff. Imagine that kid that's that little kid that's like, the most who makes the most money on YouTube with the toys and stuff. Imagine if he develops his own range of toys at that kind of age. He's kind of a toy influencer. Imagine if a guy's really into even gaming, that could be an evolution of it, right? Where the gamers actually link up with game studios and start developing actual games, actual characters, or start having themselves involved in it instead of just promoting it and playing it on their stream. Actually being involved in the creation of the game and seeing how far that goes. That would be really, really cool to see. But again, influencer culture doesn't seem like it's going to stop anytime soon. That train is just chugging along. And it seems like the celebrity endorsement is kind of dying, innit? No one really gives a shit what anyone wears at that red carpet anymore, innit? Because, who's going to be able to afford a Dolce & Gabbana dress for the most part? No one. So I guess we're going to see that continue. Anyway, this has been the Agostinho Zinga Show, episode number 183, I think so, for the most part. Thanks so much for tuning in. As always, check out my website at the link below, agostinhozinga.com, for all my links and what I'm up to. I'll be DJing this weekend at Tap East in Westfield from a night called Tap. So come down there if you want to see me play from 7 to 11. Apart from that, I'm going to be chilling this entire week, training for my Hackney Half Marathon. As I mentioned previously, if you know anyone's got a ticket that doesn't mind giving it away, let me know in the comments below. Send me a message, whatever. I want to run this Hackney Half Marathon on 19th of May. If you're there and you see me, say hi. Apart from that, I guess I'll be seeing you guys very soon tomorrow for another episode of the show. Until then, look after yourself, take care, and see you very soon. Peace.